Good evening, and welcome to another extrapolating version of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now, here's your extraordinary and extraterrestrial host, Voice of Doom. Hello. Okay, I'm going to do a diatribe again. I know they're coming hot and heavy, but this may be the last one for a while, perhaps, because I got a call from Benjamin today. He just graduated from basic training, and he did well, and he passed with flying colors, as I knew he would, and I knew he'd win over his DIs and all the upper people very easily, because that's just the way he is. He has a very magnetic and winning personality. And he always does the right thing, so the sergeants and all those guys like him. Okay, so I'm happy. I'm proud of him. But the problem is he's going into AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training, in a few days, which means he will learn the more specific requirements of what he has chosen to do, which is religious studies. I can't see how that could be very complicated, but he's got to go through 7 weeks of that. But in the meantime, he's told me that he wants me to pack up all his stuff and send it off. And one of those things is this device I'm talking to you on now. And because my Chromebook is not working right now, so I may be offline for a while, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I will have no contact with the outside world. So this might be a little bit longer than usual because I have a lot to talk about, and it's all tied together, and it's all disparate, and it's all disjointed. So I haven't planned it real well, but I'm going to try to explain my point of view about certain things. My stalwart fan, Nick, left me a comment asking about my opinion on this upsurgence of interest in UFOs. And by the same token, extraterrestrials and the possibility of aliens having visited and been to this ball of dirt that we live on. Now, there's a lot to say about that, so I'm going to try to fit as much as I can in, and I'm also going to throw in a lot of other stuff that's happening in what used to be this country and this planet. Now, I've talked to you about distractions before, and I always get suspicious when suddenly a topic comes into the fore to get everybody interested. And there's nothing more interesting than talking about aliens. And when the governmental idiots start having hearings about, let's get to the bottom of these UFOs. There's been too many sightings here, there, and everywhere for decades now. And we're finally going to get to the bottom of it. Now, I don't know if people actually expect some general to say, oh yeah, there's aliens. We have some bodies in Area 51, and yeah, there's aliens. Just like that. There's always been a certain assumption that the minute humankind learns of aliens, we will all fall apart and go to pieces and have a cow. When most people assume that there must be aliens. Now, in the realm of religion, for some strange reason, there is this idea that alien life forms and God are not mutually compatible. You cannot believe in one God and then believe that there are races of intelligent life on other planets. And I don't see any reason to believe that. What I will say is, if I was God and I wanted to make a planet full of sentient life that can worship me and just have a little experiment and see how they do with their own devices, I'd just make the planet and leave it at that. Why the hell do you have to make the universe so damn big? It's absolutely huge. It's much huger than we can possibly even describe. And there's billions and trillions and billions and quadrillions of stars, and there's probably quadrillions and quintillions of planets in one galaxy alone. Who knows? I looked it up, but I don't want to get into numbers. Suffice it to say that why would a God make the universe so huge if there was life on only this one little speck of dust that travels around another speck of dust? Doesn't make a lot of sense. So I can accept the idea that there may be a God, and I can also accept the idea that there may be extraterrestrials. And I have to say that if there are extraterrestrials and they made it to this planet from some distant place, then they must have technology that far outstrips us. Now, I can come up with 10 million different theories on what's happening. Maybe there are time portals or space portals or wormholes, all kinds of ways to travel that we have no idea how to do. But I have people that come to work and talk to me at the bar, and they're religious, and they're like hearing about all this things about hearings about UFOs, and the guy says to me, well, you know, how long it would take for a spaceship to get from the nearest star to us, how long it would take if they were going light speed. And he says something like 10,000 years or something. So he's trying to explain to me that it's just impossible that there could be any aliens, you know, that have reached this planet because it's just too damn far to travel. And I don't say much because I don't know anything, but I will say that there's probably more than one way to skin a cat. And I will say this. I don't care how many tons of metal we can get up into the air with flight attendants and pilots and 400 people and food carts and movies and be traveling 30,000 feet in the air. I mean, right there, that just seems absolutely absurd. And especially the short time span that it took between Wilbur and Orville flying a couple pieces of wood for 40 feet. And then 10 years later, they're up in the air dropping bombs on people. And then 20 or 30 years later, they got airlines. Now, that's very fast technology. But not as fast as what we've seen in the last, say, 20, 30, 40 years. I remember when I read in all over the headlines, superconductors have been discovered, have been invented. It's going to change the course of history. It's going to change the whole world. I didn't think much about superconductors. I knew there were semiconductors, and it's like, okay, a superconductor is made of ceramic, and electricity travels faster through them. But I didn't think anything of it. But the technology we have now is beyond what I can see humankind being able to do. If we're smart enough to make a phone that has the whole universe in it, that even if you drop it or throw it from a building, it still works, and it does 10 million amazing things. Just, okay, don't, okay, Siri or whatever the hell her name is, tell me the, square root of the hypotenuse of pi. Whatever. Does amazing things. And I'll tell you one thing. Me and my buddies have been playing this golf game. And the controller looks like it has like 3 or 4 wires in it. It's just a regular PlayStation controller. Now, not only is it sending waves to the television screen to, we don't have wires or anything connecting. We just hold it, and the waves are making things happen. But these controllers are so damn sensitive that if you are off by 1/100th of a millimeter going one way or the other playing this golf game, then your whole shot is blown. I mean, it is so sensitive that you have to be like an astronaut trying to guide a command module into the lunar module. You have to be so precise. So I'm giving up drinking and smoking pot before I play that game because it doesn't do anything for my game. It's very hard to play, and I'm totally amazed at what this controller can do. All the electrons are being controlled down to the one electron. It's hard to explain, but if you played video golf, Tiger Woods, and this is already 10 years old almost, it's absolutely amazing what it does, and I don't believe that humankind is able to make something like that without help. So I firmly believe that there is alien technology which we have reverse engineered and somehow figured out to the point where we can make this phone and make this golf game and make just amazing things, sending things up to satellites and back down again, billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of signals everywhere. You imagine if you could see the waves that are in the air? We'd never get anything done because the whole atmosphere would be covered in waves. But somehow there's 50 quadrillion frequencies because one wave opens up my car and one wave can open up my front door and one wave can change the channel and one wave can play, I don't know anything about it. I just think that if we can make things that intricate in technology, we should be able to solve the simple problems of poverty, homelessness, just basic hatred for each other. We could solve problems of diseases without creating worse diseases, gain of function, etc., etc. So let's move on to more bizarre things. There are people, and I may be one of them, that believe that aliens may occupy the corporal bodies of leaders, or so-called leaders, on this planet. Because you see bizarre behavior. Kind of reminds me of a Star Trek episode when Picard, his body is taken over by an alien, and Picard finally is just acting really strange, and he finally says, take the spaceship closer, take the Enterprise closer to that sun that's radiating everything. And finally they say, no, we're not going to follow your orders. You're not the person we think you are. You may have his body, but you're not him. So I think that may be happening because some of the behavior in the last 6 years has been inexplicable. And I'm not talking about Orangey. Orangey was allowed to win the election in order to create the anarchy that could unleash the pandemic. And when his usefulness was over, they put Petri dish in, just as simply as you would seat a prince after the king dies. Had nothing to do with elections. They needed Petri dish in so that they could dispense the serum and everybody would comply. Because if Orangey creates the serum and then tells everybody to get it, nobody would. And if they did draconian things and said you're going to lose your job or you're going to not be able to go into certain places, not go to ball games or go to theaters unless you get the serum, and Orangey was saying that, everybody be in the street burning down every building. So don't talk to me about, why those things happen. It's obvious. So Petri dish seems like an alien. He doesn't blink. And I talk to my friends about the fact that, there may be aliens, and they're like, yeah, it's possible that it's, Petri's an alien. And I'm like, but doesn't make sense. If the aliens took over his body, don't you think they'd act a little smarter? And they're like, no, that would be too obvious. So we're deciding, even if there's aliens in there, they're going to let him degenerate with dementia so that we don't get wise to him. Now, we know Lizard Man and Skinbag are aliens. We know Pelosi is an alien. And we don't know how many other people are aliens that are running our so-called government. But it's within the realm of possibility. So there's a lot of possibilities. But the main possibility is that they've known all along that there were extraterrestrials, and they've been reverse engineering their technology for our benefit so that we can be distracted by a phone. And now they're using the cover-up, is worse than the crime, as another distraction, because they're going to do something really bad soon. And it's either going to be an unleashing of an unholy pandemic that's really going to cause trouble, that people are really going to stand up and take notice before they fall down. Or they're going to unleash a conflagration in the form of nuclear war. But they can't have people paying too much attention to that, so all of a sudden the internet is saturated with UFO hearings. I've already said what I think about hearings. They're not hearings. They don't investigate anything. They're jokes. Your 5 minutes is up. You're using my time. Do I get those 2 minutes back? It's not how they did it in Watergate. When they wanted to investigate and get rid of that guy, Milhouse, they had hearings all summer long, and every single senator could ask a witness questions until the cows came home. You'd have one senator asking one witness questions for days. And that's for real. So this 5 minute thing it's nothing. I wouldn't even call it a dog and pony show. That's putting down dogs and ponies. It's a bad joke. It's a waste of time and a distraction. But if they want to distract us, then they can distract us by telling us the truth, because that'll be a big distraction. Yes, there are aliens from other planets. They've been here. Now, the common clay, as we all know, can get very uptight over things, especially if it's something that's earth-shattering, that destroys their whole schema of what they thought life was, which it shouldn't have to. It's like, well, I don't believe in God anymore because there's aliens. God couldn't have made the aliens. Whatever. I don't want to get too deep into that because I'm already 18 minutes in and I haven't even said anything. But you have old people that won't die in power. Soros, Kissinger, all these others. Feinstein, McConnell. And then McConnell's talking at the podium and suddenly he's just like, that seems like alien behavior to me. Like suddenly his circuitry in his brain suddenly stopped. And comes out all fine a few minutes later, like, oh, it was nothing. Like, all right, let's keep these crotchety old fossils in office because they're doing such a grand job. So I didn't say much, but I don't want to go past 20 minutes. I just wanted to throw in a few thoughts about the fact that, yes, there's probably alien technology and there's probably aliens, but when they show flying saucers and stuff, it's kind of like, that seems a little bit too cartoonish, like flying saucers. And there probably are flying saucers, and who knows who's occupying them. They may be unmanned or manned, or who knows. They may be transgendered. And maybe the aliens are affecting our psyches and causing us all to go nuts. I mean, if they have the power to get here from another planet, then they have the power to control all of our minds. So the possibilities are endless. And there's more to say about how aliens and our so-called used-to-be government could be intertwined. And it's nothing new. There's been conspiracy theories about aliens affecting history. There's people that think that aliens told Schicklgruber to kill millions of people because the aliens have wanted worldwide genocide since they first got here. Just a conspiracy theory. But as a coda, I will just say, remember back in the 30s when we were very young, and a guy named Orson Welles made a radio rendition of War of the Worlds, and he said, instead of just doing the book, let's make it like it's a real news story. And so people tuned in halfway through and heard, aliens are attacking the Earth. Aliens have landed in Kansas. And a few people got killed, and I think a few people committed suicide out of panic. And it caused worldwide panic. So, I mean, all they have to do is say there are aliens. They could be lying, but all they have to do is say it, and we'll all run amok and start looting and burning. So I don't think I really shed any light on anything. I just want to give my opinion and offer various possibilities, which there are many. If you can think about it, then it could happen. So we'll leave it there, and I hope I can do a few more diatribes before I have to pack up all this stuff and send it to Benjamin. But I'll try to get my other computer fixed because it has better resolution anyway. So it was a long one. I'm sorry, but I wanted to fit in a whole bunch of stuff together, and I think I did. I think I said everything I wanted to say. So here's to good times.